Hello!
Hello!
And welcome back to the workshop. In this week's episode,
we're fitting seatbelts!
Hey, that's proof you can't roll a 2CV. My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together. So when I found my dream car in nightmare condition, we decided to embrace it, seize the day and re-engineer the entire car from scratch.
Well, it's looking more and more like a car every single day.
And make your own gear knob kit. There you go.
A K20 A2 from a Honda.
Things don't always go to plan. But when they do, it's a thing of beauty. Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one, this is Project Mosquito. Whoa. Oh. There we go. That's better, isn't it?
Yep. So one of the things we need to do before we do paint is seatbelt mounting points. Super important. You can't skimp on any of this kind of safety stuff. It's got to be perfect.
Yeah, we're not doing the harnesses now because if you're new here, we asked the community what would be the best solution because a lot of you have a ton of experience with both racing cars, rally cars, you know, fast road cars and the whole thing. And so we called upon all your experience, and then the grand consensus was pretty much both do harnesses and inertia real seat belts. And so that's what we're doing. The harnesses can be done after, but the inertia real seat belts would mean undoing good work that we're doing.
Already done, yeah.
Because they have to be, mounting points have to be welded into the chassis. And once it's painted, obviously you're better painting them in when they're welded in.
Yeah.
So
an important fact you might not realise is that on all cars, no matter whether European or Japanese, whether they're, you know, imperial or metric, all seatbelt mounting points are 7/16 UNF.
In fact, we learnt this doing this.
Yeah, because we went around a lot of Japanese cars and we took all the bolts out just to check that they weren't metric, and they're not. They're 7/16 UNF.
Yeah, even in like French cars and also it's all UNF.
UNF.
So yeah, and also like Honda use BSP fittings as well. A lot of the threads on the engine block are BSP, which is quite funny, which is British
Standard pipe thread.
Yeah, which is a tapered pipe fitting thread. And they use it because it's the best. I'm Mr. Metric. Now, it's funny because both metric and imperial are both British standards of measurement. So you can shove that up your freedom units because they're both British. But I'm Mr. Metric. Metric's best in every single way except for fine threaded bolts. When you need to adjust something needs to be adjustable, you're always better in imperial thread.
But then again, the Honda suspension bolts are not a standard pitch.
No.
Okay, if you've got a 10mm bolt, 10mm bolt has a 1.5mm pitch on a standard bolt, but a lot of the Honda bolts on a 10mm bolt are 1mm pitch. They're actually a metric fine rather than a metric standard. Yeah.
Isn't it funny, we've gone from zero to super nerdy really fast in this video. That might be a record. Anyway.
Right, let's get this cut.
Seat bolts, imperial. That's all, well, seat belt mount bolts are all imperial. And they're all the same, which is quite cool. A little bit of standardisation.
when you're drilling a hole that's going to be tapped, it's super important that you drill it with a pilot drill first. A pilot drill is a drill that's actually smaller than the finished drill tapping size. Right? It's super important because what happens if you have a drill, I'll use this one because it's easy to see. If you have a drill that's been incorrectly sharpened, it means that this point here, right, is slightly longer on one side than it is on the other. And it's super important that center point and these two lengths are the same. If they're not exactly the same, the drill will cut big. And the last thing you want is your drill tap to cut big, because if it cuts big, it means there's less threads. And the finer the threads, so 7/16 UNF, unified fine, is it's super important that the drill tapping size is exactly right and the hole isn't too big. So that's our pilot hole. Now we've got the 9.9mm drill to drill the finished size. And because the tip, there's already a hole in there, the tip doesn't actually touch, it only cuts on the two outside edges. So then you end up with a perfectly sized hole and not an oversized hole, even if your drill's not sharpened correctly. That put us in, didn't it?
I'd be shocked if it didn't. That's amazing, that. It's only half mil. Yeah, you can see it now. Would you like a new battery?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll start that one. You know, you think, oh, a seatbelt anchor, like, what's a person weigh? You know, 200 pounds, what's that, 90 kilos or something like that. Yeah, but at speed, I think the standard's like 1.5 tons because a person under acceleration, you know, mass times acceleration. And so when the car stops, your mass accelerates and it equals a much greater mass. And a standard of 1.5 tons is, of course, more than double the weight of the car. So if you could more than hang, you know, if you can hang the car off each one of these mounts,
Which you can,
then it's more than strong enough.
Little do. we've got the back ones tacked in now, so we can continue and do the rest of them.
And then that way, once everything's in position and we know it's all right in relation to each other, then it can all be finish welded along with the seat brackets as well, because they'll be painted when we paint everything else.
On your eyes. Lotus seat bolts. One of them that attaches to the seat bolt. 7/16 UNF.
Of course it is, because it's a seatbelt bolt, yeah? Yep. Just the same as the back. Cool. Next up on our seatbelt is our buckle. And our buckle needs to be in double shear, so it needs a thing on either side of the buckle. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the mounts that we've already made, plus some Lotus seat bracket, and sandwich this in the middle of the two. And then that way, in order for this to fail, it has to do more than snap the end off the bolt.
There you go. So if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe. And we've also got our Patreon up and running. So if you fancy seeing some deleted scenes or spoilers for the upcoming videos, you can do that. It's completely up to you.
Link in the description.
There's a link in the description below. So the next mount we need to make is the inertia reel part of the seatbelt. So this is our inertia reel. And these actually, everybody imagines that they just need to be mounted as they are in a normal car. But actually they don't. They can actually be turned through 90 degrees, and ours will mount flat against the back bulkhead. Very similar to an MX-5 Miata. So we're going to make a bracket that welds to the floor, to the back of the roll cage. And we need to make a threaded insert, 7/16 threaded insert that can weld to the back of the mount, then everything can get all bolted together. Yeah, we're using very high tensile steel for these threaded inserts.
And it's a joy.
And it's actually destroying all my turning tools because we don't have any. We don't have a coolant tray, and coolant to cool the tools down as it's cutting. It's basically burning. I've burnt all my tips out, so I've no carbide tips left.
Oh no, not your tips.
Yep. So I've got no carbide tips left, and obviously threading. The reason I've cut this and I'm continuing to thread it out of. Once it's been cut, is because I'm not tapping a blind hole. Because what can happen is the swarf can get stuck in the bottom of the hole, and literally you can snap a tap, or you can chip the edge of the tap. So if you can, it's much better to obviously tap a hole that goes all the way through rather than it being blind. Especially when it's steel as tough as this.
These aren't necessarily our final seatbelts because you can have, there are companies that do like seatbelt restorations and stuff like that. So our hardware is all really good, but we can actually have our belts color-coded to our interior or what have you. In the end, it's not necessarily a final thing. This is just a really good mock-up.
So that's our template now for our seat mounted, our inertia reel mount bracket.
if we do get these seatbelts redone, we'll have to ask them to put less seatbelt on the reel, because there's about 70 times more seatbelt than there needs to be. I think we may have a shorter span than the seatbelt reel was designed for.
So obviously this is going to be bent at 90 degrees, so this will be bent up like that. What I'm going to do is cut these angles, these corners, on an angle. That also makes the bracket lighter, but it gives us a longer area to weld to. So actually you've saved weight and you've made the bracket stronger. Because if you go from there to there, it's 30mm. If we cut that corner off, it's actually 35mm. So it gives us a longer welded area.
Amazing is how hard it is to bend 2mm.
2mm, yeah. That's got it.
You've missed a bit of seam sealer as well on this bottom edge.
I can weld that into place now. It gives us a flush mounting for the seat belt to sit on. Because we've put a shoulder on, the weld there is just to stop the nut turn, you know, the insert turning. Because obviously that shoulder now sits up against the bracket and makes it physically impossible to get pulled through. So we'll just weld it up, and that way it won't turn. Okay.
That's it, the first one you make takes ages. Second one you make never takes anywhere near as long. It took us a long time to make the first one of these. Oh, well over an hour. Second one. It's not even been 5 minutes.
Yeah, we need to bend that bottom. That's got it.
I thought it might look cheap because it's not got a cover on it or anything, but it actually suits the car being skeletal. Because let's face it, we all know that we all need seatbelts. But it's better being like a roll of fabric than it is a lump of plastic.
Oh no, not again.
Innit?
There'll be a knack to doing this, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody will be, oh, why didn't you do that?
Yeah, you press both sides in and shove a pencil up your nose and it just slides straight out. Yeah.
Obviously we've only just tacked the mounting brackets in. I'll go around later and re-weld everything properly and get everything.
We're running out of MIG wire.
So we're literally down to the wire.
We've got seatbelts!
Yay! That took a while. I'm in.
What's hard, is it? My microphone's good, I'm like... Now then, it's all new, this newfangled technology. There you go. I don't own a car with inertia real seatbelts.
I do.
I'm twisted somehow. Well, seatbelts.
Seatbelts.
Seats, seatbelts.
Passenger footwell bulkhead. Right, it's not finished, but it's there. It's in.
Progress. Oh, it feels like a car.
Yeah.
It's wicked, this.
I think you said that on like episode 7.
I did. It's in the intro. But really, really happy. And this is a teeny tiny car. Like, this car has a small wheelbase and a Lancia Stratos. I've said it a million times. It's the same. In fact, it's 5mm shorter than a Honda Beat. And yet, I'm 6'6". You're 6'2". And we're wide 6'6" and 6'2" as well.
We're not exactly small.
No, but we're broad guys as well, even for tall people. I've got lots of room. All right, we're sharing an armrest, and but I can change gear without touching your leg. And all right, reverse might require you moving your knee slightly, but it's not a hardship, is it? Yeah, mega that happy.
Superb.
Super. I could not be happier. Before we go any further, I just want to thank you all. By the way, we've had this last couple of weeks has been difficult, and I just want to thank you all for your lovely comments. Not specifically, I haven't said anything in videos and stuff, but just life stuff. Sometimes life's a bit difficult, and last week, for whatever reason, the comments under last week's video were absolutely incredible, and they were really a breath of fresh air and positivity and happiness.
Thank you for taking the time to watch these videos, because I know you're all super busy. You've all got busy lives.
Yeah.
So what we've tried to do is make the videos a little bit shorter and do them once a week rather than a long one every 2 weeks.
Yep, the community spoke and we responded. We really do read all your comments, and I know I've replied to a lot of comments every single week, and it really does mean a lot to us. So thank you all for everyone who shares these videos, everyone who writes a comment, and a special thank you to everyone who's joined our Patreon as well. The community spoke, said we want to support you, we want you to start a Patreon, so we have done, and yeah, we've been uploading. I've really enjoyed making them. We've made some little Patreon outtakes, but I've had fun kind of editing them together because I was ill this week. I couldn't really do much else, so I had a lot of fun editing little tiny Patreon extras. So thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other. And we'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.